Welcome back to All Things Creepy. I'm your host, Micah James, and this week we are talking about 5 true urban legends. This topic is very broad, and I'm already planning on doing a part 2 either next week or the week after. So definitely be on the lookout for that. And so, because I am planning on doing a part 2, if there is one that I did not cover in this episode that you want me to cover in the next episode or part 2 for this topic, please let me know on Instagram, Tumblr, or via email. Now, with that being said, let's get into these 5 legends, shall we? Legend 1 is that of Charlie No Face, aka the Green Man. Legend says that a man with no face wanders the dark streets of Pennsylvania. He apparently has this green glow about him and only seems to wander the streets solely at night, mostly on like very dark roads. In reality, Charlie No Face was a man named Ray Robinson. Right around 1917 or 1918, when he was about 7 or 8 years old, he had a terrible accident. Ray did end up coming into contact with some live electrical wires, which unfortunately led him to have a very disfigured face. He ended up losing his eyes and I believe his nose thanks to the accident. And it is said that because of it, he had this kind of like greenish tint to his skin ever since his childhood. Because of the accident, again, he did end up becoming a recluse. And the only time he really would feel comfortable going outside of his home was at night. Due to these wanderings, people started rumors that a ghost was haunting the area. Alright, legend number 2 doesn't necessarily have an official title, so I am calling it the recognized cadaver. According to stories, a medical student recognized their own family member when cadavers were brought in for that unit of the lesson. The legend tends to change who the dead relative was. Some will say that it was the student's mother, others will say it's a second cousin, well, still others will say that it's maybe like a sibling. But like I said, it really all depends on who you ask. This one actually happened in the 1980s. A real life med student ended up recognizing her very own great aunt in a class among the other cadavers. Thankfully, this doesn't seem like a very common occurrence. Whenever I did try to research this, the main one that kept popping up was the one from the 80s with the med student and her great aunt. So, if you are a hopeful med student or currently are and haven't necessarily reached that unit of your classes, it's very unlikely that this will end up happening to you. Legend number 3, called Rats in the Toilet. This one is very common, at least in the US, and is probably one of the most well-known true legends. It just seems like a lot of people just happen to know that this one for a fact is true. Pipes, at least in the US, tend to be right around 3 inches in diameter, which is just wide enough for rats to climb up the pipes and enter your toilet bowl. What typically attracts them is the undigested food found in feces. This is a problem that has been so common in Seattle that public officials said that the best way to deal with this issue is just by closing the lid and flushing the toilet. According to legends, sometimes these rats will bite you in the butt or just in your private area in general. That being said, this doesn't necessarily seem to be like super true. And even if there is truth behind it, it's not common enough to be like a great concern. So if you live in an area where this is common, just check your toilet bowl before you sit down to do your business, and just flush the toilet if you happen to see them there. Or alternatively, just try to get the rat or mouse or whatever creature it is out as safely as you can and let it out into the wild, whatever you deem most appropriate. Legend number 4 is called The Leaping Lawyer. Those who live in Toronto, Canada may have heard some variation of this legend, but basically it goes: a lawyer who worked in an office building on a high up floor would run full force into the windows to prove just how strong they were. That is, until his last jump, when the glass ended up just giving out. This did end up happening to senior partner Gary Oy on July 9th, 1993. He was trying to impress some law students and ended up falling to his death from the 24th floor. This building did end up having like super strong windows, so he did like to show off to newcomers, like, hey, if you end up tripping, it's like, and he used it as like a party trick too, like, I'm not gonna die if I jump into the window. And according to another partner in a eulogy that he wrote, Gary was apparently one of the smartest and brightest in the office. So I guess the moral of the story is, don't leap into windows regardless of how strong they are or are supposed to be, because then you could be unintentionally jumping to your death. And finally, we are talking about the legend, The Body Under the Bed. Basically, a couple are on vacation and they immediately smell something off. Or alternatively, the mattress feels unnaturally lumpy. They end up going back to the front desk to tell them, like, hey, that something is off with our mattress. Come check it out. And they see that it's like stained and all of that. And they find that a body is either inside or underneath the mattress. Here's the thing though, mattresses have been used as body disposals. It has been reported dozens of times. Typically, people will notice the smell basically right away. However, there was a couple in Atlantic City, New Jersey, who had actually once slept on a mattress containing a body in 1999. There have also been multiple reports from Colorado, Florida, and Virginia. I didn't look too much into this, but there was even a report as recent as 2010. There may have been like other reports that I just might be missing, but basically this stuff does happen. However, much like the whole cadaver thing from earlier, this doesn't seem like a common enough occurrence to really be that big of an issue. All right, so that was a little bit of a shorter episode this week, but I hope you guys enjoyed nonetheless. Again, if there are any legends that you want me to cover in part 2, let me know and I will cover it. Same with any facts I may have gotten wrong or something you might want me to add to any of the ones that I talked about today. Just hit me up on all my socials and all of that. That it will be in the show notes. And if you want to read up more about some of these legends or just on other legends I didn't cover, I will be linking my 3 main sources for this episode. So I will see you guys again next week with another creepy episode.